PM sharp. And I wasn't sure if anybody signed up for public comment over there. Nope, okay. So let's see, adjustments to the agenda. We'd like to add an exec session at the end for personnel matters. And I have that citation if you need it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 1 MRS, in my glasses, 405 6A. We're signing warrants, review and approve of minutes from last meeting. The only thing I noticed at the bottom of page 3, Senator King's name is just misspelled. What was, it's kind instead of King.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he's kind too.
Okay.
Should I just circle it or
Sure.
should we sign it or?
Yeah, you can, or I can actually just go fix that right now.
Okay.
Page what?
The bottom of 3, I know there's no page number.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys noticed anything else?
No. Aaron brought up the idea of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Skip the
just
Stacy up first.
plowed, yeah.
No, we didn't finish this and then.
I have something I wanted to add to the
Okay.
agenda too.
All right. So the school budget and light issue will move up to, where shall we put it?
We can put it after public comment since we don't have any public.
Sounds good.
And my thing, I guess I can talk about during town manager reports.
Okay,
So
all right. Who wants to go first?
All right. I'm Skip Davis, was
Hi.
called to look at the street lights. I got back in March. At that time, there was just a lot of snow and wasn't the easiest to get around. Maybe 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we looked at it again. In fact, I'm in the street, there's at the corner of past the post office. There's an underground, I think there's an underground junction box that's been run over too many times or what have you. It's gonna have to be dug out. There's definitely some splices that go down towards the store and then over towards the gallery, I guess. Come out of that section. At this point, we traced it up that far. Approximate location's right on that corner.
And that was 2-inch
Yeah,
conduit?
that's a 2-inch conduit, 2 2-inch conduits.
Does the conduit come up from the bottom or like underneath the base of the light?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, because I do have a camera that I think I can get down that 2-inch
Okay.
pipe provided it does have that long sweep coming up.
Good.
You know, we can use that and see if we can
See how
actually
far back it is, sure.
locate it, you know, as long as there's
That would
nothing
be
else in
helpful.
there.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I could trace the wire, the little rig that does that, and could pull out one of the broken wires from Brian's pump station and lay it out where it was pulled from. And
Yeah.
get a pretty close, guesstimate, I guess, as to where it lives. But it's on that corner, not in the road, I don't think. I think it's kind of off the pavement, a couple feet. I think when they ran that line, they went right up to the intersection of 15 here and went right towards the first pole on the right. And I think that they broke that off at some point on the ground. And then the wires are a different color. And so there's a splice somewhere from that corner down to the general store and then that corner over in front of the gallery.
Okay.
Or the post office, I guess I should say first. Post office and then gallery. It's 3 poles. Right now, none of them are working. I don't know where at.
Yeah.
Gonna be dug up. And try to fix it where it's broken. Not dig the whole town up.
But DOT's gonna come in next, soon and do that anyway. Well, hopefully not the sidewalks. Thank you, Skip.
Yeah.
I was just curious, who installed those lights to begin with?
That was Larry Leroy, who was the contractor, huh?
And Tommy,
Tommy got involved in that?
I think so.
Larry did all the digging,
Okay.
Just
and John
curious.
Cobb did all the wiring, cause I talked to John. But whether or not when that pole got run over, do you think it could have potentially just snapped the wire when that pole got run
Oh,
over and?
Right,
I think that, Aaron, and what you said, the information that John had, was that it's not buried too deep, they had put it in concrete, probably a lot of weight on it. So it could be that, they just plowed into it and knocked the pole down to have it, and then dragged the wires with it.
Cause that one right out front, post office got folded right over.
Got taken out a couple of years ago.
Mm.
We got it on camera.
Oh, really?
And not being really deep, or like John was saying, poured in concrete, that's usually a depth issue. That's when they do that, and then
And he seemed to think that it was only covered in concrete, just in more or less in the sidewalk and where it crossed the roads. He didn't think it was all the way down through, so.
probably weight on it from
Yeah.
traffic and
Mm.
this and that.
Thank you for your detective work.
Steve was a big help too.
So you're gonna be working with Aaron?
If he's available to do.
Well, I'm just,
Yeah, that would be. the way
I
to go.
keep that locked, but Aaron has a key.
That's very good.
All right, we got a committee.
Yeah. No, hopefully it just doesn't cost us a arm and a leg to fix it.
I don't think it would be, I mean, the biggest expense more than likely will be just the excavator.
Yeah, it's not.
It's quite the-
Aaron has the camera to go backwards, we can get pretty close coordinates on it. Dig and patch it and turn it back on.
Okay.
That would be the approach. Shouldn't be terrible, I don't think.
Cross our fingers.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you again. Stacy, you're up.
Okay.
School budget. Oh, we got visual aids.
I love it.
Once or twice.
The second one, is the, per pupil expenditure. I always think that's a fascinating thing to look at, especially since we're the cheapest. Last one is on the revolving obligation. Huh? No, no, we're right behind us. Thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate the time to be able to talk a little bit about the budget that's going to move forward. We always start with, the school board always starts with guiding principles, and they have two of them this year, which is making sure that the budget is transparent and student-centered, and then also making sure that it reflects the district mission statement. Work on the budget started in December. I'm sure you probably started in December here as well. And then the admin team put the started putting the budget together in January officially. We got our ED 279, which is our money from the state, on January 25th, and that was 445,000, almost 446,000, more than what we received in FY25. We had 7 fewer students from last year to this year. But our free and reduced lunch numbers went from 42% to 59%. So that was unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, that was a help to us in the state formula. So overall, it's about a 3.9% increase to the taxpayers from last year to this year. Charleston is showing the greatest increase, Dover is showing the smallest. The additional local required by the state was 116,000 more than last year. And we had added 70,000 to the additional local. So the pieces of information, I think we've had this conversation before, that impact the numbers is a 3-year rolling average of property valuations, and the second is the number of students in town. So this year for Monson, while your valuation was still up, your student count was also up, and that helped significantly with the amount that you're going to have to pay. So regular instruction, you'll see on the next page, shows a $459,000 increase. We had to add a PSL tech this year. We have 3 students that came to us that English was not their first language. That person is working with those students. We had a health insurance increase. Our overall increase was just under 3.5%. But when we negotiated the contract last year, this year, we went from 85% to 87% that the district paid of health insurance for single subscribers. So that 2% increase is also reflected in this number. Added a social worker, and we've had the social worker, but that person has been with us under a grant, and that grant has run out. I have applied for an opioid grant, and we're supposed to hear April 15th, and they bumped the date until May, and so the person is in the budget, but if that grant does come to fruition, if we do get that grant, the social work would be paid for the next 3 years out of that grant. And the other thing is tuition at FA increased. For special ed instruction, you'll see $163,000 increase there. Again, health insurance, salary. We have a really large group of students moving to Foxcroft Academy. And with a really large group of students, we have a lot of special needs. So we added it at FA for next year. And also sprinkled throughout this budget is the state FMLA money as well. For career and technical education, you see a $20,000 increase. They negotiated in SAD 46 and Dexter, they negotiated contracts this year. So most of that increase that we're looking at is a salary increase. Other instruction shows a $5,000 increase. So when the base salary moves, which it will move next year to 43.5, all of the athletic salaries increase because it's based on a percentage of the base salary. Student and staff support showed a $49,000 increase. Part of this is we need a new firewall, They let us know last fall that they would no longer service our firewall or support it. So that is almost a $22,000 cost for the firewall. And the rest is salaries and insurance. System administration shows a $37,000 increase, along with salary and insurance. We are purchasing software called Time Card Plus. Currently, we do time cards, paper time cards, and so we are going to move to electronic time cards. See how it goes. School administration is showing a $12,000 decrease. We had 2 new administrators at Setamocha, and so one of them no longer needs insurance. One of them does not take insurance, so we're able to keep that savings. Transportation is a $10,000 increase, and that's based on the contracts with Rowell's and Weymouth. Rowell's was a 2% increase this year, and Weymouth was 3%. Facilities and maintenance shows a $51,000 increase, and that's for minor capital. Minor capital increases, and I'll talk about those in just a second. The debt service is down 28,000, and we have 2 more years to pay off Setamocha, so that's exciting. So for a total expenditure increase of $757,201. There are a couple other warrants that people will be asked to vote on. One is PVAC, or Scottsbluff Valley Adult Education Cooperative. The budget increase for them is, for us, for our portion of it, is just over $4,000. We are going to put $150,000 in that we have left from this budget into reserve, and then take out $180,000 for tuition and the additional ed tech that's in the budget. We're going to expend $207,000 from the capital improvement reserve. Expenditures with that money will include the one-time costs. It says 187, I'm sorry, it should say 127, which will cover the difference that the grant for the revolving renovation grant that they didn't pay because they would pay for office space for the HVAC system. The $33,000 that is our portion of that HVAC system over a 10-year loan, which we'll talk a little bit more in a second. We're also looking at doing some flooring. We've been trying to keep up the classrooms and change up in the middle school, especially updating the flooring, and also updating the rugs at 572 that go upstairs. The shed roof at Center needs to be done. And Aaron and Chrissy, our administrative assistants at Seto, their workspace is not, Aaron, what's the word, not, it's not high enough for them. Ergonomics, there we go. Sorry about that. So we're going to get those fixed. You can see on page 9, the increase to Monson is $34,048.96, or 5%, 5.34% increase. So this year, for the first year in 4 years, you received all of your money like you should have. That is,
Yeah, that is
good. So the number of students increased enough that well over that 50 mark. That was a quick overview. Do you have any questions about the budget?
And I was just noting in our town proposed budget,
It's off by like $500.
yeah, just off a little bit.
Because I couldn't remember what the last of the numbers were.
Yeah,
And the last time I saw it was in a newspaper, so I didn't know where to find that number until tonight, so.
So you call me anytime.
And I knew that, like, we don't vote on that number here at this, our town meeting, so I knew that that number can be changed at any time, so. As long as we had I knew the 671 would be, at least give us a bottom number that
yeah.
made
Is that what's
sense.
in the budget?
Yeah.
That's 671.
Mhm.
And the 25 budget numbers are,
Yeah, I saw that.
100, yeah.
Well,
It-
that's
it's
how I
fine.
noticed it because, well, I had read the $34,000 increase and I'm like, wait, a minute, that doesn't make sense because the 623 or whatever that the budget said is wrong, is why. But that's a trio thing, so.
Yeah.
Still love software.
You guys have any questions?
I mean, it's as straightforward as it can.
I know,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm not sure I would use that terminology to explain school budgeting. That's not SAB 68 or Stacy's issue. It's
It's the funding
The
formula, right?
I know that the committee came back with a report on the funding formula. And basically, you read it, right? I mean, it basically said, yeah, it's not great. We're not sure that we can find anything better. I know there are also a couple of laws in right now to try to change it again.
Yeah,
I think anything right now that has a price tag to it though is just gonna sit on appropriations. I don't think they're gonna do anything. Like the $50,000 for teachers in salary increase, I think that's all that kind of stuff is just gonna sit on appropriations, honestly. I don't think they wanna mess with the budget until they know what the people's vote's gonna. The second sheet I handed you, is the annual district per pupil expenditure comparisons. So we're hovering right around just under 14,000 per pupil, per student. And that includes the academy.
What would it be without Foxtrot, just see that?
It would be, I think we were hovering just under 13,
So not much different.
yeah. Because we paid 14,1 for FA students. So the last piece I have is the revolving renovation grant. So at 572, we have our pre-K students and we have a daycare. And because we were in what they call cohort 1 for the pre-K, we were eligible to apply for up to they had $2 million set aside for this revolving renovation grant, which really doesn't go very far. But that's what they had available, and our HVAC system we knew was not in good shape. So we put together a grant application, and we received the funds. Minus, they would not, they didn't consider, like, my office is there. I had to subtract off my office, the law office, and part of the upstairs. Because students weren't using that space. It had to be about students, the 3 and 4-year-olds. So that was about 16% of the building that I had to subtract off in terms of square footage. In terms of dollar amount, that came out to be about $127,000 of the total amount that we had to subtract off. So we went out to bid in March, and Mechanical Services came in with a low bid at 1.09 million. The grant pays for 67% based on our 279 percentages. So, they'll pay for 640,000. And the district is, responsible for the rest, the 330,000. We're eligible for a 10-year, zero interest loan through the bond bank. So it's gonna cost the district 33,000 a year for that HVAC system for the next 10 years. But as long as the taxpayers pay for it. So that money currently is in the budget already. So I just took a snapshot. Mechanical Services did some, we have some, controls that they put in, some of the rooms to kind of just check CO2 levels. And you can see in the red, which is, the red areas are actually where students are, the CO2 levels were too high. So the proposal includes redoing the entire HVAC system as well as the controls. Our controls right now are a real mismatch of, I think there are 5 different company controls in the building. So nothing,
What fun.
yes.
How many students are actually enrolled in that program?
So there are 26 students in the pre-K program, and then there are another just over 40, I think 41 or 42 students.
Wow.
That's cool.
So it really gets utilized.
Yes, yes.
Is it sort of representative of all the communities that, like, it's not all kids from Dover or all kids? I'm just
No,
curious.
Yeah, no, it's a really good representation, and we have, it's a cohort program, so we actually also take students from Dexter, Guilford, and Mila.
Good,
So what it is it's a high needs
right,
program,
no, I
yeah,
knew that.
so it's been, those kiddos have done really well. I mean, this is only our second year, but the kiddos that transitioned from last year into kindergarten have done really well. It's been a really,
The pre-K.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important.
yes, so we're giving them a really nice foundation, a good start. And then I just put a copy of what the ballot looks like. It's not worded funky, so it's a yes vote means that you approve it, a no vote means that you don't. Now, sometimes they can kind of be funky with how the word goes, and yes means no, but this one is pretty straightforward, and the only thing that I worry about, and legally this is the way it has to read, is that 330,000 looks like a daunting number, but if anybody asks or anybody says anything, it's over 10 years, so it's really 33,000 a year.
It's just to keep kids in the system. The property valuation is taken out. Simple stuff. right?
Yeah, there's no property valuation. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but.
Yeah, very high,
Yeah,
very high.
We're aware.
yeah.
And where the state thinks we are, where we actually are very different.
It's tricky, huh? How do you fight that?
It's a hard one where, and we, it's only been since 2020 since we did a reval, but COVID changed so much that we have to do another one, and we're doing a factor this year to try to get up to where, at least when we do the reval, it won't be such a shock to everybody's system. And hopefully
Usually revals aren't good though, right? Usually that is an increase, no?
it increases the property value. It brings you more in line where the state thinks you are. So what you guys use is our state valuation
Right.
versus what we are valuing things at. So we are valuing in things way down here, and the state is valuing them because they base it off sales prices.
Yeah.
Which we don't, so at yearly anyways.
Yeah.
Whenever
Whenever
you
you had one campus sold for a lot. of money.
we had lots of
More than
houses
one.
that sold for a lot more than what we have them assessed at.
Because your percentage is, I think, almost higher than everybody. I think Dover's is the only one that was higher. in terms of percentage from last year to this year of
Yeah.
increase.
We like to be on the top.
There you go.
On
Top of the list.
on some things, I know. Stacy, can I ask you a question about the preschool? I was just curious. So it also serves as the early childhood program for Tri-County?
Yes.
And what is the agreement or arrangement like with Dexter and using the building?
So they have a lease.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I try to be really reasonable about, right? I looked at the square footage, I mean, we have to pay to heat the building and
right,
so to me, it was just really important to have those students there and it has made a huge difference. Her program has grown exponentially and I think next year she's going to have 27 or 28 kids in that program. And we have hired 5 in the last 2 or 3 years out of that program.
oh, wow. Wow,
So that's been really helpful.
yeah. That's
Well, it's desperately needed in this area, I can say that.
Yeah, when I counted students, I didn't even count those. I think there were 23 there this year.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a little revenue coming in to kind of offset it.
Yes, and like the districts that send their kids, so we get their revenue in terms of it's a superintendent agreement, so that's how that revenue that train comes to us. But then I also charge them a little bit for the use of the building.
Right, right. I was just curious how that worked.
And then we have the law firm in there, they pay rent and then
Right.
the daycare. The daycare just expanded to upstairs,
Okay.
so
Oh,
yeah, we have a good amount of revenue coming in
Yeah.
for that building.
Does the daycare, private daycare count as student occupied
They do.
space?
Yeah.
But there's other stuff upstairs then it doesn't? Cause you said there was something.
Yes, yeah, there are 3 empty rooms upstairs.
You can't just let the daycare use it.
They do try to spill over.
thank you very much for.
Yeah.
Thank
with
you
us.
for having me, I appreciate it.
We wish it was better numbers, but.
I know.
Yeah,
Worse.
Beyond what you can, your
Right.
control.
Well, this isn't saying go nuts next year, but.
No, I know, it's not my, it's not my style. I don't wanna-
It would be nice to see a $34,000 decrease, but
I
that's
know.
wishful thinking on, I think, both our parts.
Just supplies,
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
so we give the teachers $300 worth of supplies. That is not going very far.
It's not much.
300 for the year?
Yeah,
And I used to
Wow.
buy like all of their construction paper and,
Good.
pencils and crayons and all of it. We had to take the construction paper out because they really would be getting almost nothing, but. So, yeah.
I used to spend a couple thousand of my own pocket on this teaching, because you couldn't, and now you can't declare it on your taxes, so.
Yeah, in Colorado, we got $0
Yeah,
for classroom.
oh, you did,
We got nothing. So it all came out of our pocket.
That is so crazy to me.
yeah.
You're not in it to get rich.
No.
For sure. All right, well, thank you again. You're welcome to stay. We have such a good time here.
Yeah, this is a great group.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you.
Would you like these back to use for other times?
That'd be great.
No.
Just save me for a copy.
Oh,
Oh, sweet.
You guys can keep yours if you
Yeah,
if you don't want
I
it.
wrote on the.
Yeah,
I
take yours back,
might-
save some money.
Those, I wrote on this.
I wrote on this one.
Keep in mind for my budget.
Oh, absolutely.
One more, Stacy.
All right, so, I gotta go back up, right? So town manager report?
Where you staying? I'll stay for a little while.
Sometime soon.
Yeah.
I went to preschool skip.
You did?
Preschool.
Oh,
This is my.
I didn't remember Mrs. and Mr. Miller.
Yep.
I worked with Mr. Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay. The two things that I have that are not on the agenda, are more questions than updates. But I'll start with the fire department first. Where they have so much money left over in their budget this year, Chuck asked me how we felt about putting tire chains on the new fire truck. And he said that the estimate is around $5,000. And I said that I would discuss it with you guys first before I made that decision. Just,
We've never run tire chains on any truck ever, have we?
I think, you don't know. I think,
Ryan, do you know if they ever run tire chains on any of the fire trucks?
Yes.
They have.
They did.
They used to put them on, leave them on and take them off if they didn't. Before they went on the ground.
Wow.
That probably makes sense.
so these ones are ones that you like push a button and they just,
Oh, the automatic change.
Yeah.
Deploy.
While you're going down the road.
Probably won't recommend that.
Probably have to be stopped.
No, they don't go around the tire, I don't believe. I believe they just drop and
You
then
have to-
flip the chains under the tires as you're going.
Bunch
Oh,
of chains. It spins this way, and comes in front of your tire.
huh.
So you get these chain on top. They work moderately well.
so I just wanted to get everybody's feels on that before I made a decision either direction.
How much over? were
How
we-
much for the install?
Yeah.
When he said it was going to be $5,000, I think he meant like $5,000, like total to purchase them and put them on, but I could be wrong, and I have been wrong in the past, so I can double check that.
That's something I'd wanna know.
Yeah. Who's it through?
I don't know that either. Yeah. I don't know who they were through, he just asked me today, so I. was like,
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, cause it, the customs guy is here all the time again, and I don't know if he does that type of install.
Probably,
And
if I had to guess.
I'm wondering. I mean, I guess I would have to say, I don't think tire chains would be 5,000. I understand why automatic tire chains would be 5,000. I don't know. I can see how it makes sense. I also,
Probably can't run regular
no,
tire chain.
there's probably no clearance. That makes sense.
Is there any other departments that are running these?
Yes, I do know that, but how many of them, I don't know. I know that Milo has one, and I only know that because it was talked about at a county manager meeting one time, but I don't know a whole lot about the tire chains themselves, other than they talked about it as a department. It wasn't just Chuck asking me. And so they discussed what they wanted to do and then came to me and asked, and I said, well, $5,000 is pretty significant. I don't feel like I will make this decision all by myself, and
Well, I guess.
Was that their thinking, was the end of the year, let's spend the money?
I don't necessarily think it was that, because we did put in that it would just go to their reserve. But it was more like, this is something that they would like to have and they have the money to do it now.
How much do you think we're gonna have?
We're at about 70 right now.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
There's like 53,000 left in the budget
When did you run that number?
before you did accounts payable.
So it's probably approximately maybe 6-ish plus thousand less than that.
So like 47.
Yeah, I mean, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, I could look through the warrant real quick and. better
So
idea.
around 47-ish thousand is what they would have left.
We're left over. Right.
Now, yeah.
I don't have a lot of knowledge about this in terms of what other departments, have and the road conditions, and, I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to put anybody at risk.
Right. Pretty much the only thing that he said when we were talking about it is, one of the main reasons why he doesn't want to put regular tire chains on it is because there's the potential of the, like, damaging the truck.
Right, no, that makes sense. Like, I understand that, I guess watching that budget, and of course, stuff's gonna come in at the end of the year. But that number of last month or whatever was under 50. And now we're over 70 in a month. It's not a huge deal. I was hoping that if we're gonna reward the fire department in a sense for budgeting well, that number might be a little bit bigger, because we know that they're going to need big purchases. Like, we know how much fire trucks cost now, and if they need a new tanker, or they need, like, it's not like you can go spend 100,000 and get one.
Right.
We're talking
That would be
multiple
ideal.
hundreds of thousands, and what's all that's frustrating to me is it does feel like a bit of a end of year, we have money, let's spend it. Do we really need them? I guess would be, and if we do, then okay, I get it. How often do they need chains? How many calls? I know when they go to Willimantic to come back up the big hill, it'd probably be nice. But I can't think of a lot of other places that,
I can't recall them ever being stuck on the road.
you don't go on fire calls.
Not much, no. I don't
Our
know.
chain broke once. So the side of the fire truck all out.
That was one of the major concerns, and I mean, my feeling is while they're not, I'm kind of iffy,
Mhm.
because $5,000 seems like a lot of money for tire chains to me.
Mhm.
But I also have never owned a fire truck and have
Lots of
never,
tires.
and they do have lots of tires, but at the same time, if a fire truck does say have a difficult time getting out of a situation, that's a bigger situation to deal with than $5,000. And then to come have somebody pull a fire truck out of somewhere is gonna cost us, and hopefully it's not in a time in which the fire truck is desperately needed.
Right.
So that it's,
I think those chains too, I was just looking at them online, are for on the road traction, not we're stuck in the ditch traction. I don't think they work for that.
No.
right,
wouldn't.
it would,
Might prevent you from going in.
right, it might prevent them from going in the ditch.
I
I
don't
would
know,
assume
I've
that
never
they
thought
work.
about that, maybe I don't know if they. work
Brian, do you
for it,
know, do they only work when you're going forward?
No, I think they work backing up.
So
Well, I don't,
it would have to move.
but I'd have to gear to
I'll
both
tell you
directions.
who can probably explain a lot more about them to you is John Tadco.
I would ask
He
him,
runs them on his plow.
but he's off gallivanting in Europe somewhere, so I can't ask him right now. No, I guess I would say we don't need them this second, I hope. I hope we're done with that. Can we sort of table it?
That's what I was gonna
and-
suggest.
And revisit it with a little more information? You
Yeah.
think that's reasonable?
Sure.
And maybe there's a grant out there.
Like, cause one thing I would still like to see is their inventory, their want and their need list,
Mm,
before we just keep saying, yeah, let's do this big purchase, let's do this big purchase. Not knowing what's gonna be coming down the road.
yeah, that's a wise suggestion.
I'm fine with that, and that's why I wasn't like, sure, go ahead. Cause I was like, that seems like, I don't know. If it was like turnout gear, I'd be like, well, turnout gear is like a necessary thing, like it's in
I'm not even arguing that they're not
the. Well,
necessary,
me
but
either, really, it's just,
I guess I would. We certainly don't need them
today.
in May. So we can hold off and, you know,
And we can see how much is being spent out of this year's budget as well, what's left over, but also the inventory and
We only have one more select board meeting
Right.
before
True,
this town meeting
true,
is
so
also
we're
that night.
pretty
so-
close, yeah.
Yeah, so we'd have to have more information really at the June meeting, right? In order to use this budget.
Yeah,
can you use this
But
budget?
the money's going to them anyways.
True.
Right, and then
Do we have to vote on that at the town meeting?
to move the money to reserve, yes.
Um,
So if they, I mean, if they really want it,
The money would still be
it
there.
would
we
still
could
be there.
still authorize them to spend it out of reserve.
Yeah.
Right? I would feel more comfortable doing that. I feel like this is a, it would be a quick decision on something. I don't have enough information,
yeah.
but
That's fine. That's fine. All right,
unless you guys feel differently.
No, I agree.
No, I know the concept of them, I just don't know,
Right.
never talked to anybody that's installed them. Like you said, do they work forward and reverse, or?
I'm just gonna write this on your list, so I don't forget it.
Sounds good.
And before I start my next thing, I'm gonna grab my piece of paper. Here's a header.
Okay.
So I received a call from Senator Collins' office today. And, well, they haven't made any final decisions yet. We kind of got thrown a little pickle. So, remember how we talked about there would be like, there's different groups that they put you into, whether it's the no match required or the 25%. So they attempted to put us into the no match required category. In order to fit into that category, they will not pay for a town office to be a part of that building because it's considered general government and they don't fund general government, just transportation and public safety. So if we did, we could fit into this category if we take the town office portion out and then separate it. Or we could do the 25% match and get put in the USDA category. But the 25% match would be $1.5 million,
That's a lot.
which is a lot. And there's a cap on the amount, the number of projects that they can put in the USDA, and they are capped this year, so we would be waiting for next year, most likely. She said that, you know, there is room, like they could potentially, where nothing has final, they could potentially pull one and put Monson there if we decided to go that route and say, yeah, we could do the 25% match. but there's no promises on her part that they would mix and match who they've already picked for, or who they think for the USDA. I told her I would call her back tomorrow and let her know what direction we were planning on going. And she said that they would give us notification in the next few weeks whether our project was chosen or not. So we'll actually have an actual answer within the next couple of weeks, regardless if we get it or not. We just have to figure out if we want to separate them
Right.
or if we,
I assume, so the King's office, I assume, would have the same criteria?
yeah, because it's the same budgets
Pocket
that
of
they're,
money,
yeah, it's
right.
the same pocket of money, it's just a matter of. And she was saying like she's working alongside like Edie Smith, and so they're all together making
Right.
these
Right.
decisions. So Angus King is kind of in these conversations too.
So when they talk about public safety, does that include public works and fire department?
Yes, because they would be considered transportation.
Right.
So HUD is a transportation, that would be transportation and safety. So my thoughts are, where there isn't a required match. And if we
It's
separate,
zero match?
well, it's not a zero match. You have to contribute something, but there's not a required match.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be like $150,000 or.
$150.
Oh, you're right.
That's what I was thinking, let them come back and say we need more.
So would any of the town-owned properties be appropriate if we took the town office
I
out of
don't-
the mix?
I don't think so. Other than still behind the gym.
Okay.
But, there would be, so if we went that route, we would have to, come up with new plans, a new number.
Right.
And then submit it before July, because that's when the final, number, that's when they tell you how much they're gonna.
It's too bad that we didn't know this one, the
Well,
engineer
and
was
yeah, I
designing.
know, and
right?
she said that they've never run into this before, so they didn't know until now.
That's interesting.
That's what I said, I'm like, nobody's ever applied for a town office before,
Huh.
nobody's been all in one,
Yeah,
apparently not. But,
Well, we can just call it a fire station.
I know, and just have a
Offices in
couple
it.
of rooms, right? Yeah, I was
right,
thinking that.
we're fire department support,
We'll
what
give
it
you guys
feels
a
like.
Yeah.
badge or something.
right,
Um,
we're supposed to be.
But it could be for public works and fire department.
Right.
So my thought process is, okay, $1.5 million is a lot of money.
I mean, I feel like that takes it off the table,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
We don't have an extra
Okay.
1.5 million kicking around.
Well, and that is
Land?
almost $1 million more than what we were anticipating as our high match.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm with you. So I'm also thinking okay, so say our match for the public works and the fire station, even if it was $200,000. And then we had to put $300,000 into this building, that's
that's
still
what I was just getting
$500,000.
I mean,
If that's
you
$1
guys
million
could have-
less than,
You guys could have indoor parking.
yeah.
Oh,
We
we
said the
said
same
it.
thing. I said,
No,
Marty, we didn't have to
But
clean
I
up our
mean-
cars.
No, I say we bust that wall down and make that a giant meeting room.
Well,
Sorry,
you
that
could-
bathroom
you
down
could
there, it'd be
certainly-
beautiful.
You
That
could
was the-
certainly, we could make this
Voting
more,
there.
at least
We used to-
more ADA compliant.
Yes.
Right.
We could certainly,
There would be room to make those.
between the fire state, you could turn that into a meeting room or expand offices or
We could have parking in front of what the fire station now, where
Exactly,
now we.
No, I think there's a lot of potential.
This building could serve as a town
Rather
office, it's
than-
just not serving as
Right,
All of it.
all of it.
All of it.
right.
No, absolutely, and mean, I think the idea of a $1.5 million match is a non-starter, so I think looking at that's why I asked if any of the town-owned properties might be more appropriate if we take out the town office, and it's a much simpler building is the wrong way to put it, but it's more
A garage versus.
essentially.
Yeah.
If you look at, we drove down to St. George to do an install, and every little town we went through had a brand new fire station. I'm assuming they all got this grant, because they all look the same, except for one of them has an old timey look, like it's probably zoned, it has to look a certain way.
We're gonna
The
put
rest of
log
them are-
siding on our new office.
Yeah.
The
We-
rest of
we
them
went
are
over it
all
today.
steel buildings
We got big
essentially.
plans.
They're
So
all
glad you guys are on board.
steel- I mean, I think if we're gonna go for anything, we go for that, and we figure it out from there.
That was kind of. Not to say that $1.5 million isn't a great deal for a $6 million building. It's just, it's too much for
For
what
this
we can
town,
do.
yeah.
Especially in this moment in time.
Right.
And so, and then if we could somehow get what we want, essentially for $500,000 by separating it, then that seems more doable than 1.5.
Yeah.
Or you could also, you could also do it over a couple of years
Right.
and spread that budget out.
Oh,
to-
for
to
sure, for
Rehabilitate this building, I mean, if that's what the
Right.
direction.
Because, you're saying about downstairs, that used to be where we voted. It
That
was
could be
the-
really
the
nice, and we
room.
could spread the whole office space over to there.
Yeah.
The current town manager's office could be a
Yeah.
beautiful vault.
You could
Yeah,
sell all
it
these
doesn't
brand
stay
new
Get the
Yeah.
storage back over here, right?
Well,
The storage,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah.
If you're building
Anyways,
up
we
at
kind of
the
love that idea.
gym, is there a way to utilize part of that gymnasium basement space for public works and then get a new roof built
No,
into?
it's not enough.
Creative thinking, Bill.
I like it.
I'm a problem solver by nature.
No, you have to have an elevator because of,
Yeah.
For the fire, no, I mean, if the fire, the top,
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
If you build any new buildings that are 2 stories, you have to have an elevator, even if it's an elevator to nowhere essentially.
yeah.
The
We'd be
engineer actually,
grandfathered, right? Yeah, we'd be
Yeah.
grandfathered.
the
Yeah.
engineer actually gave us an example. There is one that he just worked on that the elevator is walled off. But they, by law, had to put an
Oh
elevator.
my word.
ADA, Is that-
I don't know if it's an ADA thing, but it was 2 stories, but they had separate entrances and they were never intended. One was planning board.
They get their own building?
And then upstairs
office.
was the town office, and they did not intend for there to be travel between the 2.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't know, I'm looking on that.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so that's the general
You good on
consensus, is just separate it and go from there.
So I guess it's talk to the engineer again, right?
Yep, and, I will probably have him come look at the floor in the fire department too, and try to make some plans.
Well, I would definitely say though, if we were able to get the fire trucks out of there,
Oh, yeah, that would significantly help the issue.
it probably becomes an easier problem to solve potentially,
Yeah, we said the same thing, because
I would think,
people being on a floor is significantly different than 4 full fire trucks.
that are hauling in
Mhm.
road salt,
Mhm.
dripping on the floor.
Yep, so anyways, it wasn't necessarily the news that we were hoping for, but it wasn't a no. And she said that they haven't chosen anything yet, but they are very interested in our project.
Good, fingers crossed.
She said that it was significantly helpful that both her and Edie have visualized the building and know how badly we need a new building. They said it's nice.
Good.
Well,
Well, it's not, a horrible idea. I mean, it's still, it's workable, it's doable.
It's my favorite idea so far, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
And it doesn't leave us with an empty building that we then
Right.
have to figure out what to do with.
Right.
And just costs money with nothing in it.
Right.
Yeah. I imagine the footprint of the revamped building will be smaller.
That's why I asked if we had any properties
Mm.
that might now be
Yeah.
appropriate that weren't before, but
That could really don't be almost half the size, because before it was pretty much fire department and public works, were pretty much the same size as the town office section.
So let's talk to the engineer and see,
Yeah.
maybe we could make it a weird shape and put it on this lot over.
Right. Yeah.
That would be cool.
So, cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I've had for updates that are not on the agenda. The last 2 weeks since our last meeting has just pretty much been dedicated to town meeting and warrants and budgets and getting financial information for the school for something that they're applying for, that they need our financial information
really?
for. Yeah, she's like, yeah, it's due at the end of the week, and I'm like, I don't even know the answers to half of these questions, and now I'm gonna have to look them up and then find a report in Trio that has that number in it.
Oh.
So it's been fun for sure.
Well, thank you for that.
Sure.
Big decisions there. Okay, on the select board reports. No? I'm always the only one here.
Don't feel bad.
And mostly just questions for updating. So we left at the last discussion, last meeting when DOT folks were here. And again, I bring these up because I don't want to just lose sight of this. So we talked about the possibility of getting public input on which pieces of this that we want. And I mean, I could make a guess, but I would not want to represent the town,
Right.
in my opinion. So
Right.
I'm thinking, how do we go about doing that?
Have one more meeting up to the gym, and, wow, we probably have a year, because it really wasn't that big a turnout.
Yeah, and we could combine it, I was thinking, with if people are online savvy with like a survey of some sort. Where
Oh, yeah,
you can choose.
that would be an
So if
idea.
people can't make it in person, at least they can voice their opinion that way.
That would be an idea.
Yeah, because people that show up will voice their.
And that's
opinions, I
okay.
think. It's people that don't.
Well, we'll have a
Should still
multiple
have 'em.
choice,
Yeah.
like we did on that, put your dot where you think is most important.
But that would be a great thing to do with the list of DOT things.
Right, right.
Yeah.
right. That's what I was kind of envisioning.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, so,
Should we go through
Mm,
that report that
Yeah,
they
that's
produced
what I was
and really
thinking.
break down?
Like all the little,
Like the different,
I know parking was a big
aspects.
issue, right? And crosswalks and, yeah, it's probably a wise thing to do at some point.
yeah. Yeah, we should.
And it's probably too soon to try to do this
Maybe-
with our
Yeah.
dinner.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Maybe we should think about it for later in the summer
Yeah.
when we could maybe have a work session before and
Yeah.
go through, pick
Uh,
out everything and
good
come up
idea.
with, you know, breakdowns that make sense. Meanwhile, striping when they redo the roads for a crosswalk,
Right.
seems like we can have that done.
When was their start date?
I don't think they've given anyone a hard,
It was after July 1.
yeah.
What he
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
So obviously we want these decisions made before they start.
Well,
In terms of the
Some of them,
crosswalk and.
yeah.
You could announce at the town meeting that you're gonna do a survey of some type, or whatever you decide,
Yeah,
just so people are aware of that.
true.
You could even have a thing, if you have the stuff set up to do the sticker thing off to the side during
Yes.
dinner, and people could like
yeah, I was actually.
do a straw vote for what they're interested in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And then because it really doesn't need to be a formal thing, we're just trying to, 'cause
Gauge
there's no
what-
requirements that say that we have to have a public hearing or whatever. So like if we
No.
had something, very simple like that,
Right,
it would give us something to base our decisions off of.
right,
What do people want, is what they wanna
right.
know.
Yeah,
And, you get 3 dots.
Right.
we could, and we could probably break it down into pretty broad
Yeah,
categories,
yeah.
like.
Sidewalks, crosswalks,
Yeah, slow traffic.
Intersection.
placemaking. Sorry,
What'd you say?
I said placemaking,
Your place making.
they threw that around a lot.
Oh my gosh, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's probably a smart.
Okay, I don't mind kind of helping put that together.
Okay.
Work on that.
Also, just so you know, we have a planning board vote coming up because of our failure, mine, timing wise. So we can't have a vote at the town meeting, so that is another opportunity to sort of pile a couple of events together to get more people out, if you wanna have a meeting. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that'll
That's
probably
what
be,
changes to the land use.
yeah, just in the land use tables.
But you're all thinking like a poster at town meeting and announce it, just to get an idea that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we put on there, none of the above as it should?
No.
Or do you force
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, I mean, the
joking.
people that are gonna say no, they love are gonna put a sticker.
They
on
won't
it.
put a
Yeah.
sticker on it.
Right,
Right, and the people that really want sidewalks will put all 3 of their stickers on there.
True.
I don't know, is that okay to do then?
Well,
Maybe
why
you-
not? Cause if more people than not say, you know what, we've spent enough friggin' money, maybe you'd get more stickers there than anywhere.
right,
Yeah.
that's what that's all I was thinking
Maybe
is
you
that.
get a red, a yellow, and a blue sticker for second, third choice, or,
Yeah.
we'll just do it.
Yeah, we'll put that on there, that's a good idea, I think.
And then the other question follow-up from that discussion was the beach culvert, and
Yes,
he said that DOT was aware of the culvert.
right.
Not
So he
functioning.
actually sent me an email today,
Oh,
this morning, that said that it's in their scope of work, whatever that means,
10-year plan?
right?
It's in there.
Oh, we're past 10 years.
And that they plan on digging it out to prevent further erosion, is what he said.
So does that mean that the town should stop repairing it if it washes out again? So it forces them to have to do something?
Well, that doesn't make, they don't have.
They don't
The
care.
whole beach could just completely
Oh,
disappear,
yeah,
they don't
'cause it's
have to
the
do
beach,
anything.
it's not the road.
But
Right.
if we let enough of the beach go, then the road will go.
Right.
We said-
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the road is, but it's not,
It
it's
is
the
the
beach.
beach, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want that. to be-
So we just sick DEP on them.
I mean, why not?
Seriously, right?
When half of the beach is in the lake, you would think, or more than half sometimes.
Okay, I just,
So at least they are,
It's
they
on their
didn't
radar.
forget that we mentioned that.
right, right.
Because that's a big
That's
deal.
gonna be a squeaky wheel.
I was just gonna say squeaky wheel.
That's a big deal.
He seems like he's used to dealing with people and giving answers. He doesn't always give you the answer you want to hear.
Right.
But is it Matt? Is that his
Yeah.
name?
Yes, so this guy that emailed me today was Mike, and he
The
He
new
was
was
the
guy.
guy that came,
Right.
that's taking
Guy
his.
who
that's
replaced
taking
Matt.
Yeah.
Which that could work to our benefit, cause he's a new, young guy,
trying to make a name for
trying to make a
himself.
name for
Yeah.
himself and.
Or he doesn't know that he has supposed to say no to everything. Haven't learned yet.
All right, my third question, just curious, you had mentioned, you had applied, or I think you had applied for the MMA safety grant for the signage.
Oh, yes. So they reached out to me and they asked for pictures of our old cones and safety vests. Don't know why, but, so that's on my agenda for tomorrow, is to take pictures of those and send them to them. I'm assuming that's
Get
getting
only
new.
the bad ones.
Well, yeah, only the-
Or, yeah, run over a couple with.
I don't
with the
have to
loader.
do that because the
No.
ones that we have
They
look like
are run
that.
over.
They are run over. I just, won't go take
Alright.
pictures of the ones in the fire department, because those ones probably look nicer.
All right, two more questions, my apologies.
That's okay.
Gym siding. What do we?
Jeffrey
Oh.
said he can probably get some time to get up there and get it fastened back on.
Oh, great. That's wonderful. And last question, Lena, you're gonna hate me for this one. 99 Solar, any update?
No, actually, and this is the first 2 days I have not thought of them.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. So, no, I don't have anything, but I haven't completely forgotten about it. It was just the last 2 days I
Sure,
forgot about it.
sure. Sure.
But no, I won't let that
Yeah,
just,
and we're pretty sure this Vaughn guy is the contact,
yeah.
because when I looked up the company that we had the contract with, and then they were merged with, what did I say? Energy.
Yeah.
something.
Revision?
But then it
Revision,
looked like
revision.
he went to some policy job.
Exactly, and so it looks like he's more detached from hands-on company stuff, but I was surprised.
Yeah, I don't understand all of that complexity of it. I just know that the 997 is connected to him. He's the
He
only
is
guy.
it,
That's it.
so we just need to bug him.
And
And
like-
really, this isn't a business form anymore, it's just income form. He's not doing anything other than just collecting money.
That's right.
It's not like he's gotta go to work every day to,
Right.
Sure,
do spreadsheets or go over paperwork and stuff like that, it's just collecting and.
right.
All the bills are piling up in the accounts payable folder.
And he said he was
Quite a
gonna,
stack.
he left it with you that he was going to come up with an
A solution that
agreement.
works for both of us.
Right,
Yeah,
So either he hasn't come up with that solution yet,
we're
or,
probably gonna hear from him about the, I don't know, 32nd
I,
September.
right.
yeah, in reviewing the contract, I just worry that by not paying the bills, we're violating the contract.
Well, he
Well, we
violated it
are.
first.
I know.
If we violate the
Like a little
contract,
kid.
there are recourses to come in.
That was his
Take it
excuse as
back.
to why we should have had to pay.
Because the internet wasn't.
Because we were already violating the contract, so he wasn't paying for the, like, this is what I'm saying, like, he's being a child like you and I, just saying.
Can we just have him on your, like Monday morning, you call him and just. bug
Be
him
like,
out?
hey, what's
It's
going
Monday,
on?
yeah.
Not go, I'm in the bill.
Uh-oh.
I don't know, I have a phone.
Fast as it came in.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as long as we're paying, the only recourse we have is to not pay, because as long as we're paying it, it's like Aaron said, he's just collecting money from us.
We're not
He's-
paying it though, right?
No,
No.
So we've stopped paying it, and that's the only recourse that we have at this point. We may need to go through the
PUC
PUC
or the public advocate.
like,
Yeah.
I think, but at this point, he's not gonna help us as long as he's getting his little check every month.
I have an idea. Would it help, good cop, bad cop, if we had a letter signed by the select board to him saying, you need to adjust this by this date, or we will take measures with PUC or public advocate to get this resolved? This has been going on long enough.
I mean, anything at this point, because
We might wanna reach out to PUC and public.
Beforehand.
beforehand, just because that may be a very hollow,
True,
like, I don't know
true.
what,
You probably ought to ask your lawyer because
I was gonna say.
this is a contract dispute.
Right,
And I'm not sure the PUC or the public advocate really
yeah.
has jurisdiction over that.
okay,
They might be able to, but I'd talk to your lawyer and say,
Yeah,
here's what we're doing, we're not paying them. We've told them we're not paying them because they won't settle up. Is there anything further we should do?
That's a good idea.
Okay, well,
You buy your chat?
no,
Elena?
that's okay.
And he was supposed to get back to you about solving that problem that he claims we should pay for,
Right.
Right,
but he never has.
Mm-mm.
right.
And I'm
And
not
he's-
holding my breath.
And he never responded to me about like why all of a sudden, I understand now why our CMP bills got so high the last couple of months. I get it. But what I don't understand is why the solar panels are not generating what he
Right.
thought.
Right.
So, but he didn't even respond to that email that I sent with the bills included, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's check with our attorney. I like that. Okay, those are all the questions I have. I'm so sorry. All right, town, are we okay to go on?
Yeah.
Okay. Town committee reports, alphabetically beautification.
Plant sale coming up on the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. I put it in my email today that you probably didn't read.
24th.
I know when I'm being ignored.
Oh, I was out of town most of the day
Okay.
today.
So the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend is the plant sale.
Okay,
And as part of beautification's actually meeting next week, but we've talked about having Foxcroft Academy kids clean up the planters, wash them, paint them, whatever needs to be done to spruce them up. Most of them are out now. Their legs on many of them are much shorter than they were, so that they won't break off, which is good. They'll look better this year. And that's beautification. Collaborative,
sure.
okay. Collaborative needs help. We need people other than the usual, the same 15 or 20 people in town to step up and do stuff. So if anybody can think of people who might be interested in working collaboratively for the betterment of the community in various things, trying to get representatives from businesses, from historical society. I mean, I could fill in or you can join, but we've got a select board rep.
I didn't think of it last night. What if, is there something we can put together for the town meeting where we could,
An info table,
yeah, kind of,
that's probably a good idea. Yeah,
I mean, because a lot of people ask me, what's the collaborative?
Mhm.
Like, so, I mean, it could.
well, that information is in every newsletter.
I
that
know,
goes out, but
but-
that's a good idea. You gotta tell people over and over,
Right.
so. Anything else from last night? I mean, that was really the crux of it. Chantal
Chantal stepping
can't keep going.
down.
And the expo is June.
The expo is June 7th.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll also have info there.
Not a lot of response so far, but
Yeah.
Just one applicant so far, I think, for a grant, but it's early yet.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I jumped, the cemetery should have come before.
I'm sorry,
collaborative.
because he does come before, oh, I'm sorry, I took your
Please
spot.
correct that
Lynn.
in future meetings.
I will.
The cemetery committee, cleaned all three cemeteries from the stuff that was laying around and the tree that was down up in the hillside cemetery. Is removed by somebody, we don't know who, but when we get up there to take it, it was all cleaned up and gone, so.
Huh.
I thought it might be the mowing crew, but they didn't do
Right.
it.
They didn't?
Yesterday's guys didn't do that.
Oh,
That's all right.
But anyway, they're all cleaned up and I haven't heard of any phone calls saying, what'd you do with my flowers that I just put on there? I think that's a good sign.
No, but Rose did come in and register her car and she didn't say anything, so that's gotta be good news.
It's gotta be good news. No news is good news.
And we have ordered those signs that I mentioned there last time, get the spelling right, thank you so much. And, so they'll be here shortly, I think, so.
very good. Thank you, Glenn. All right, and Recreation Committee.
Dana,
Yeah.
All right. CEO report.
We leave that to, just a little note to the Monson Academy trustees met and agreed to donate $5,000 to the gym roof committee,
Oh, that is wonderful.
along with about 11,000 scholarships to students.
And hopefully by Saturday, if all technology cooperates, we'll have a GoFundMe page going.
Oh, cool. I can look for, that'll be posted
Hopefully by
on.
Sunday, the money will just come
Yeah.
flowing.
That's been the sticking point.
All those people that say, get GoFundMe going, I don't want to write a check.
Yeah,
Okay, here it
yeah,
is.
it really, people do donate a lot that way. Will be, and that'll be, hopefully the link posted on the, town website and Facebook page.
We can put it.
Believe me, that's part of the whole technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have seen me and Aaron trying to run the TV before you guys got here. I'm like, okay, we need to find somebody else that actually owns a television to mess with this.
I think that though is harder than figuring out a GoFundMe page. The TV is, yeah,
Not user friendly.
no.
I tried to set it up the exact same way that I did it on this one, and it just didn't work. So I'm like, that's.
I can
did my best.
usually make it work.
I did what you normally do, and then it just wasn't showing up on his laptop.
Needs a magic touch.
Yeah.
Well, next time, call me and I'll try.
Okay, Saturday, call her.
I'm out of town, actually. No, I will be back in the afternoon, so if you
You
do,
could Zoom with him,
Right.
right?
well, not from my car.
Well, now you're asking me to get the TV and Zoom going?
Well, we can help you out. with
I
that.
know
No,
I
we
can
won't be
do
here on
that.
Saturday.
Well, I might hop down. That's fine.
Wait, what's Saturday?
Gym committee, gym
Right.
group meeting.
Yeah, CEO report. Is Kent zooming?
Don't know if, unless he is Heather. which I don't. I can't even find mine. I don't know which part. I think the permitted structures is actually supposed to be 2 unpermitted.
Okay, that makes more
That
sense.
doesn't-
I
I was
think
gonna
that's
question that.
what is supposed to say.
Oh. Okay.
And why is he processing 5 applications which are incomplete?
Once the information gets there, right? Isn't that what
Right.
it says?
It says the next line there'll be, it says
Should
accepted.
be accepted.
Right,
Right.
once the information is complete, so he must have informed them that they were incomplete. The only thing I would, again, I think Aaron said it a couple of times, probably Sue has, I know you're aware of it. If we had an address that was associated with each
Yeah.
of these, like
And like,
traceable letter sent to Randy.
and what the purpose of the.
Right,
Right,
right.
exactly, a little more information would be good.
Next month will be awesome.
Guaranteed?
Guaranteed.
Thank you, Lena.
You're welcome.
I'm so sorry though.
It's okay.
All right.
It's all part of the fun I get to have over here on this side of the table.
All right. That was a good one. All right, next meeting. Old business, 19 Center Street.
Okay, so,
I think that should be under extremely old business.
things since 1902,
Ancient history.
right? Historical.
Historical Society.
So, I mean, now we're at the point where we, I guess, put it out to bid, because now he hasn't signed for his letter saying that he has 21 days or I think we did 30 days.
He hasn't.
It's not for removing of personal property.
Gotcha,
He
right.
hasn't signed for it, that just means he hasn't received it.
Right, so once he receives it, then the 30 days will, once he picks it up or whatever,
Okay.
then we'll have proof, and then go from 30 days from there, so, but even if, like, it's gonna take us a while to put it out to bid, get bids, review bids, then work with that person, so then we're looking at like July, so like his days will be gone at that point.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable like even putting it out to bid this month and then reviewing bids in June and then working with the contractor from there.
I'm sorry, how many days did he have to respond? Or
Well, so he doesn't even
He
have to
doesn't have to
respond.
respond,
It's just a matter of,
The
technically, he only has 21 days to remove personal property, but I gave him 30 because I'm just such a nice girl. And,
I mean, you said 30 years. That's another 9 days.
I just figured 30 days is easier to track than 21 and,
yeah.
And he lives in Florida, so
Then he
he got
lives-
some slack.
right, so,
I mean, if he was to contact, honestly, if he was to contact and say, I'm not coming back from Florida until July 1st or something, like, it's not gonna be torn down before that anyway.
so, right, because in June, we'll have to review the bids and then
Right,
the most contractors aren't gonna be ready like the next week.
Right.
I
Do we
mean,
have it down before Summerfest? Cause that'd make a nice seating area.
even for
Fireworks.
fireworks.
you might even be able to see them from your house if we do that.
It's funny, cause the last couple of years, the raccoons have been lined up along the peak watching
Watching.
fireworks. They come out of there.
Are you serious? You're
Oh,
kidding.
no, I'm kidding. I'm
You
kidding.
think raccoons liked fireworks?
Nah, they probably don't.
Silly question, and maybe it's just late and I can't think straight, but so we demolished the building, but it's still his property then,
Correct.
right?
We just,
There's
Until
no
he doesn't pay
liens
for
on
it.
it,
until
right?
he doesn't pay us back for
Right, for the
demolish.
demolish, right. Right. And then that's a whole nother thing we have to,
Right,
Far from done.
right?
yeah, we're like in that middle zone.
Yeah,
In the expensive zone.
yeah, exactly.
All right, on to snowplow contract?
Oh, yes, I forgot this was even, I haven't done, because we wanted to talk about it some more, right?
Yeah, well, I think, I have. it
I
in
honestly
email.
can't remember where we left off on this, but
I know I brought up the problem with the not being able to withhold the money without a phone call.
Right,
I would be willing to let that slide for a year to see if that becomes a problem.
can't even remember where.
And like I said before, the only reason I have a problem with it is that's how a specific contractor used to do it. They would not even go out and plow
you call.
until somebody from town called. Here.
So what you're saying is you are okay with the way it is written right now for the time being?
Yes, so it'll kind of be a C.
See how it goes?
Comes and bites us in the butt down the road.
That's Terry's voice.
Yeah.
I just heard, yeah, you can't deny Terry. So how does everybody else feel about this new contract?
I'm with Aaron on that.
Sorry, I hadn't.
Oh,
Oh, my issue with it before was the fact that we couldn't withhold money unless there was a phone call and he didn't respond in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
But that has been taken advantage of, not that we ever held money, but he'll just be like, well, I don't have to bother going out until somebody from town calls me, not to worry about losing money.
Right. Yeah, I remember now. It's unfortunate that there just couldn't be like, well, whatever.
You know, and say if it does become a problem, we can update it saying after so many phone calls,
Hmm.
you're fined anyways. 3 strikes, you're out. And then every time you're not doing your job and we get a call, it's $500. Or however you had it set up.
Right,
before.
right. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do.
And I don't expect him to get like that, but
So,
to cover our,
right, well, this is significantly better than what we had before. Reading through this document before, I was like, this is not for the town, this is for them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there wasn't, it isn't easier to write it in such a way that when it should be obvious to everyone that you should be out and plowing, that you don't have to call.
Right.
Like it's the case where, you know, if there was something extra or something that he should be doing that he wasn't, and you called him and then he didn't respond, then that would be a fine. But if there's 3 inches of snow on the ground and he hasn't been out, I mean, I see where
Right.
say, like, the warning seems like an extra step, like, cause yeah, he saved money by not going out and plowing it, like.
yeah, you let him build up to 5 inches right now, because he had that hour after the phone call.
Right, he saved more than $500 or whatever. Yeah, so I get that. Has that been one of the issues?
Well, there was, yes, because there never was stuff written in that money would be withheld, but
Right, but it has
it
been,
has happened that they would just wait until the town called and said, hey, how come you guys aren't out plowing? And then they'd be like, okay, yeah, we'll go out.
yeah.
I drove through 4 inches of snow at 8 o'clock one time, and at 1 AM there was 6 inches of snow when I was going home, so.
My wife drives from Dexter and she always says the roads are good. Early in the season this past year, the roads were good until she got to Monson, and then there was noticeably more snow.
Well, she's lying, cause I drive on Guilford roads, and let me tell you what.
She comes the back way, and she just said it
But
was
yeah.
fine till she got to Mithy's, and then you get through that low section, and then there was snow on the road, so it
Yeah.
hadn't been touched, so.
Yeah, no, there's without a doubt room for
But it
improvement.
does seem like a huge improvement over
Yeah.
what we had, so.
Yeah,
So it sounds like we're in agreement on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just rereading
Yeah.
what, cause it's been 2 whole weeks since I read this.
Yeah, I was just looking at it too.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it would work for now, and then we can revisit it again. I mean, we learn from our mistakes as much as that sucks, but
Do we still get to review it each year?
I mean,
Should we write something in there that says?
There's something in there.
Is there?
Yeah, I thought I just.
right, and like,
Cause it's great to say that we'll give them a chance,
Yeah,
but if we can't review
Rewrite
it
it, then we
because
want
it's a
to do it now.
4-year
Yeah.
contract, then we want probably.
I think it said something about it be changed at the end of each contract, but we're only doing a one, oh no, we're doing
We're
a
doing,
4 year.
To lock in the price.
Yeah.
So for no purposes, are we suggesting that we change it to say that if he has to get a phone call, he will be charged the $500? Is that what I'm understanding?
I
Well,
would
that's
say
what-
more than, say, 3 times in a season.
So I'll have to call more than 3 times in a season,
Make it the 3rd time.
I mean, if
more than twice.
we wanted, because there's A, B, and C under failure to perform, breach of contract. Withhold penalty, terminate contract, and substitution, getting another contractor. We could put D in there. After 3 calls, we can revisit the contract, or
Withhold money and revisit contract.
Okay, so. So I think we could almost add to under A, if more than 2 calls have been made per season, then the town has the right to, I don't know, renegotiate or on,
Withhold money.
Yeah.
well, we're withholding money anyways, but.
No, because the only thing you're saying in there, the only time you're withholding money right now is if you call him and he does not respond in a certain amount of time. So after he's done that twice, it'll be, hey, guess what? This is your phone call and you're out money because you're not out.
Well, I mean, there's also a little bit of a gray area there, because if I have to call him because he's didn't plow the entire town because it's been snowing for 3 hours, I can be like, okay, I need the whole town plowed in 25 minutes. He's not gonna be able to do that, so there's my $500. It says within reasonable time.
Yeah, but that's not reasonable.
It is reasonable
It's
time.
not enough.
Yeah, it is. You should have been done by now.
If you can plow the whole town in 25 minutes, then I will say that's a reasonable
Well,
time.
get more guys then. It's not my problem. The problem is there's more than 2 inches of, which I think we actually talked about changing the 2 inches to 1.5.
or I thought it was 1.5 to 2.
I thought it was 2.5 to 2.
It was, but in the meeting that Elena and I had to Chad,
I think we said
we
1.5.
were throwing around that number.
Okay.
Because if you start at
That's
3,
It says,
by the end, where you got 6.
so item 4, I don't know what page this is, plowing and sanding.
Yeah.
The contractor will commence plowing and sanding operations when the snow and pavement has reached a depth of 2 inches, and snow shall not be allowed to accumulate more than 3.5 inches at any point during the storm.
See, and like, if for whatever, that's what I'm saying, like, there is some gray area there to be able to charge that $500 penalty, because if he doesn't go until he's called, there's a good chance that at any point during the storm, there's more than 3.5 inches on the road.
Mm.
So we could charge that $500 penalty. If he's waiting to go out until he's called, there's a breach in the,
Even if it's just freezing rain and sanding,
well,
how
yeah.
do you
right.
factor that in?
That's his job to be on top of that. And to know and to check the roads. I mean,
Yeah,
Get a weather guy.
That's part of that
Honestly, you
$250,000
should never,
checking the road periodically.
if we have an early spring rain, Pleasant Street's gonna need to be sanded regardless. Nobody even has to
I
go look
do-
at it.
Multiple times.
I do think that having something in there, like, if you've called him 3 times for previous storms and you've got to, or 2 times and you've got to call him again, then he's not doing his job. Like, I really think that,
So, okay.
so
hang on.
When it says in the contract, if he gets a call and he doesn't respond within X amount of time, you can charge him, can you just add, or it takes more than X amount of phone calls to get a response. He's
Right.
subject to the penalty.
Or,
Well, because these would all be like separate incidences, you know, well, yeah, if we had to call them twice for the same thing, then.
Mhm.
It says telephone communication, all phone calls from the town or the town's agent will be answered or returned within 1 hour unless other arrangements have been made.
Yeah.
And that probably should specify that 1 hour window is not necessarily the timeline for you to start going out and say, hey, guess what, I get your phone call, so I'm going out now an hour later.
For the other piece of the contract.
Because all that's saying is you just want a response to know that he got your phone call.
Right, that has nothing to do with the section on value.
Right. Because my biggest thing is he does a very okay job at returning my phone calls. But if Steve or Marty tries to reach out to him, it's radio silence. So,
I mean, can we make it 2 calls per season for not, like, instead of
I'm
per
trying to think
storm?
like,
Because it is almost like it resets every time, and if he does, like, if it's an ongoing issue, then.
but also I feel as though if it is an ongoing issue where they are literally just not going out until they're called, we need a new contractor, not a new contract.
Yeah.
Mm.
I get you.
Yes, but we don't wanna go out and try to find a new contract.
But if it gets to the point where every single storm, he's waiting to be called in, yeah, I do want somebody else.
Sometimes some people just need a little motivation. So by withholding money,
Well, I personally think the first couple of times we withhold $500 out of his money, he might be like, well, what the hell?
he'll forget about that in a week or two.
Well, it adds up after a while. I don't know. I think that this is significantly better than what we had before. If you would like to revisit it again in the future, we can talk about it next month if you'd like. I don't know what else to, like, how else we can do it without becoming ridiculous.
Nitpicky.
Yeah, I know.
I do see the point in trying to protect ourselves, but at the same time, like, at some point, we cannot hold their hand to do their job. At some point, I mean.
Right, I think that's what Aaron's saying, though, that by giving him that, like, for each storm, there has to be a call before a fine is assessed. If you've called him 2 times for 2 previous events, and the third one happens and he hasn't been out, like, I do understand, like, he's already, like.
But like, how do we word that to put it
Right,
in contract?
that's, I'm not a contract.
Me either.
Right.
After. You put it right underneath that, after two such calls
In a season.
in a season. Failure to do the job without another phone call will result in.
But I feel okay, so we're saying like any kind of call to ask you to do something that you should have already done.
Yes. Whether it's plowing snow or whether it's sanding.
Okay, so if we've already assessed 2 $500 penalties, is that like those kind of phone calls or just calling him in general?
If you've had to call him to go out and say, hey, I'm gonna give you 1 hour to get this town plowed.
And he does it.
And he does it. That's fine, but if you do that twice, even if he still does it, the third time, the phone call will be, you're automatically out $500. And then, I mean, there should be something noted in there that there is some discretion
Right.
on your part.
I mean, you don't have to, like, if you're seeing,
You know, if there is some slippery spots, but not like
Right.
town-wide, you could be like, hey
Yeah.
Chad, do you think you'd come out and just, you know, check the road, sand these bad spots? I wouldn't necessarily say he should get fined for that,
right,
but when you blatantly don't plow or
Don't
Don't
plan
see it.
Pleasant Street until 9 AM on a school day, work day. Yeah,
Maybe that verbiage could go under A, like a B there, and then terminate contract with C and substitutions D.
Right on the back of my agenda.
Okay.
So. I'm leery about putting it there because above it says that oral notice must be given.
Mm.
So, okay, so,
well, you will be given a moral notice that he's out $500.
okay. After.
I'd say if you piss me off, I'm gonna charge you $5.
that would be,
yeah, that's broad.
I would have liked said that, but I can't sit in this chair, so.
Discretion is a difficult thing to put in a contract.
yeah,
Yeah,
very difficult.
I mean, maybe we could get some help with the wording.
Mhm.
Somebody would know how to wiggle that in there somehow
Mhm.
and make it proper and in the right spot.
I think you had the right idea. I'm not assigning this to you, but I'm just saying. Maybe we could get that written down for Elena, just. I'll help.
We'll work on the right.
Okay, yeah. I liked how you said that, though. We played the tape back.
Didn't mean you had to rewrite the whole contract right now.
But also-
I have to write it in my hand, with my hand to see if it makes sense in
I
my,
mean, it could also be like after 2 assessed fines.
that's what I
all
was thinking,
Future incidents will result
in a penalty.
in automatic, like it starts with the fine and a call to remind, like is.
But
Yeah.
you may call him and it's like I said, if you give him an hour,
He'll go out and do
okay,
that.
well, I'll go out in an hour and I'll get everything
So you
plowed.
don't find them.
So you won't get
Yeah.
fined and you can
Right.
repeatedly do that.
No, absolutely. That's what I meant though, when I said before, like if you've made 2 calls in a season and he hasn't gotten the message yet,
Yeah.
you've gotta step it up. Like, so I'm with you on that, like
This just reminds me, I used to write behavior contracts
Oh,
with
yeah,
students
yeah,
all the time, and yeah, it's like the weasel out one, and you have to like revamp it.
yeah.
It's hard.
Your contracts.
Yeah. How you doing, Elena?
I'm close, I think.
Where'd you get your law degree?
Right?
Oh, no, you just took some classes.
Yeah. We know somebody.
You know when you're set.
Okay, so. So we're saying after 2 calls, that's the general consensus, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
2 calls per season.
Okay, after 2 calls per season have been made for failure to perform duties described in this contract, penalty can automatically be assessed if further calls are needed to then what? To what?
What was the last few words? If,
Pretty much if further calls are needed to be made.
Just that.
yeah,
So that makes sense. After 2 calls have been made per season for failure to perform duties described in this contract, a penalty can be automatically assessed if further calls need to be made.
A penalty or penalties
Well, it would be the $500 penalty that's mentioned before this sentence.
for each time a call needs to be made.
Yes,
After 2.
after 2, it will automatically.
So
be assessed.
I think in what you wrote, you just need to say penalty. There's not gonna be one penalty if there's more than one
Yes.
call. Sorry.
Penalties.
and
It's interesting, when you make that third call and he's being charged a penalty, now he has no incentive to respond. He's getting charged anyway.
That's true.
Well, then there goes his contract.
Yeah.
It's breach of contract.
don't get
All
to
of
that
it's
second
breach of
call.
contract, but
I was gonna say, do you wanna specify, sorry, in that sentence, whether,
Just a rabbit.
a rabbit hole, whether or not, like, that second call, whether or not, how to say it, whether or not, like, he's gone out. Because it's the call, it's not how he responds that we're
right.
trying to target.
The first 2 calls, you don't charge him if he responds within the time allotted, right?
Right,
Yeah.
But
right.
if he doesn't charge him, so it doesn't matter, in a sense, it doesn't matter on those first 2 calls,
Mm-hmm,
whether he responds or he doesn't. You'll either charge him 500 or not. But
right.
on the third call, you charge him whether he responds or not.
And that's what I was, yeah, that's the verbiage, whether there's a response or not, follow through.
Okay, so that's what we want to say, whether there's a response or not at the end of the sentence.
Read the whole thing.
Okay. After 2 calls have been made per season for failure to perform duties described in this contract, a penalty, penalties can be automatically assessed if further calls need to be made, whether there is a response or not.
Pure, I would say pure, don't put that whether there's,
Right,
because that just isn't.
wide open.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Okay,
okay.
And not can be, will be.
okay. Maybe we should say shall.
No shall. Absolutely. We've learned that lesson.
You could use might.
Oh, man. All right, I love it.
Okay,
Perfect.
All right. I hate to do this to you, but we got one more contract here.
that's okay, so.
Yeah.
So, with adding that verbiage to this contract, are you guys comfortable with the contract itself?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so I will add, if you guys want to accept the contract, I can fix the contract and then you guys can come in at your leisure and sign it.
All right. I'll
When I have it
make a
done.
motion to accept the contract as written
With revised edits.
with that revised edit.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Alright. Alright, the next thing on the agenda is ATV contracts and when Larry came last time for Abbott Explorers, they were requesting a 3-year contract with us. It looked like the same contract we've received from them previously.
Yeah.
I was just I didn't know in terms of, there's some things on the second page that we circle. The permitters agree or disagree to use the off-road, to the use of off-road motorcycles / dirt bikes on said ATV trail.
Agree, I think.
Do we agree? I,
Yeah, cause I mean, there's still technically a.
They still have to register them
Yeah.
as
Okay,
ATVs and stuff too.
I'm not familiar with, sorry, I didn't know. And then the number 11 is permitters agree to the following ATV trail width limit. So it's 60 inches, 65 or grandfathered oversized ATVs.
Yeah, we got something about that. Like, they're not allowed unless they've already been registered.
So I
In
guess,
Maine.
yes.
So
Oh,
no future ones, and I mean, in this
I
area,
see what you're saying.
no, I don't.
Okay, so it's those three pieces.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And then we have to check off yes or no permission to publish the trail on a paper or digital map. And we were talk-
I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah,
Brian
At the last meeting, there was a question as why they went this way
Yeah.
rather than this way.
right.
I've got your answer. Coming from Willimantic to Monson,
Yeah.
with all the Japanese knotweed grows, it's right on a corner by Chuck Boyce's house. And the selectmen felt that vehicles going that way and meeting the ATVs, that they wouldn't be able to see them.
Hmm.
Well, wouldn't it? It would also be the same with them going that way and the vehicles coming.
Yeah, but that was the reason they did that.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, you know, you can try it the other way. Cause the damn stuff grows on both sides of the road.
Yeah. I mean, just like traffic flow wise, I mean, that does make sense to have it the way they originally had it.
You're not crossing as much.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I tended to agree with Larry, you know, to go back to the way it was.
Mhm.
And so did we leave it with him that we agreed to the old traffic flow?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he was gonna work on the maps.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. And then he just.
And maybe it's the in-town one, it's something that maybe Jade
Right.
would like to mess with a little
Yeah.
bit.
Because then we have the Elliotsville
Right.
folks too that weren't on that.
Right.
That map.
Right.
And then we need a contract.
With them,
I would suggest the same contract with them.
right?
I kind of understand why they'd like a 3-year contract. That would allow them to do a lot more future planning.
Mm,
Cause if you say you just get a 1-year contract, you're gonna be like, well, we're not gonna, you know, see if we can get money for next year, not knowing whether or not we're gonna have that contract.
right.
Is there any reason not to do a 3-year? I mean, that makes sense to me.
I'm assuming probably the only reason they went with a 1-year contract is at first they just wanted to say, well, we'll see how this goes.
Yep, that's exactly what it was.
And then it was just like, well, you know, if things get out of control, we want the ability to just say, no, you're done.
Yeah, I think that, because Sandra, you were on the board when we did that 1-year contract, and it was the first time I don't even know if we had a contract with them prior to that.
Yeah, we do.
We did?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it used to be, I believe, a 5-year contract each
Wow.
time. And
Cause he said 3 or 5, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think 3 seems reasonable. I think that, I mean, he talked about the section that they shut down because people weren't being respectful in Barrows Falls area. I mean, it seems like they're pretty responsive. If we had a concern or a question, I feel like we could reach out and address that. Even with a contract in place that gives them the right to use it. I don't.
Yeah, cause they'll go out of their way to keep us happy,
Right,
knowing
that's what I
that.
mean, so I don't see any reason not to give them a multi-year,
Right, I agree, yeah,
plus then we don't have to revisit it every year.
yeah, and I agree, they have been responsive and responsible. So we.
That 8 o'clock alarm,
Yeah, I know, sorry about that.
keeping us on track.
Yeah, it's in the minutes. for the
So, I'll make a motion to accept, the Abbott Explorers ATV Club contract for 3 years.
Second,
All in favor?
and nobody's heard anything from Elliottsville.
Nope. So, I know it's hard to get a hold of whoever's in charge, but Bill Beaker has been
Yeah,
helpful.
he was gonna be who I reached out to next. I just haven't had a whole lot of time in the last 2 weeks to do that,
Yeah.
but that was my next stop.
Could we just, if Abbott doesn't mind taking this contract and,
I think that's all we did last year too,
Okay.
is I took that contract and
okay,
put whatever Elliottsville calls themselves.
yeah,
And I would probably lean towards just a 1 year, although they're hard to track down.
I know,
Um,
but that's a different route, you
And it's
know,
a different club and
yeah, and the speed, like I said last time, is 45 on that road, that they don't have to go 25, they can go 45, and that is
Scary.
pretty fast, pretty fast. But I don't wanna, you know, say,
get out there with the sign.
you know.
You can
And-
use the old vest. Take pictures of it.
And the DOT approved them, Bill said, for access on the main road, but DOT is supposed to provide the signage, so we need that as well.
Yeah,
And I don't know if it's the club's responsibility to pursue that.
I would think.
I would
But
think
it
so
should be.
because they're the ones that have the agreement with DOT.
Right. Because otherwise, you know, people not familiar coming up are not gonna know
Right,
the route.
and then where to go and where they can go and where they can't go and.
Right, right. So, how do we leave it then?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if they don't have a contract with the town, they can't just be doing what they want. But I will do my best to reach out to whoever their lead person, and I'll check with Bill to see. if,
And add on our new map of the ATV system in town, will add their route.
Right.
But they have to,
Do that first, yeah.
I think I've got the guy's name and number somewhere, cause I think Billy gave it to me last year. It might be in an email, I'll look.
it's not Kern Roberts, is it?
No.
Okay.
No, it was a name I didn't really recognize.
Okay, well, if you do have it, please enlighten me.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're the only club, like when you look online, you know, on the state site or whatever, everybody else has like a contact or a online presence of some sort, and they don't.
No, they're just out in Elliottsville, having the time of their lives.
It's a ghost club.
They don't
Yeah.
get internet down there.
Living the dream.
No service, no
Living the
internet,
dream.
they're living their life.
Okay, all right, we did A already on new business, and we did B. Approval of town meeting warrant. I started to look at this afternoon when I got back in town. I
Yeah.
didn't finish it,
No,
but
that's okay.
I I assume that all the numbers line up with
Mhm.
the proposed budget. Okay. And that's right, we don't have to worry about the education piece, because that's a separate.
Right, they vote on it at a separate referendum. Yeah, the numbers on the trio portion of the budget is more of a placeholder to, so that you can get an idea of a bottom line number when you're doing your budget, but it isn't life threatening if it's not correct on the proposed budget. But it will be correct before it goes in the town meeting, the report.
Any thoughts?
I mean, if the numbers are right, it's right, I didn't find anything that like,
Pretty much the only changes, other than like the numbers, of course, would be Article 33, which to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to carry forward a fund balance for the fire department budget to the fire department reserve account. That's the only other one. I guess Article 34 could have done the same thing because it says
Right.
that they, as they deem necessary. I just felt where we have had such a wave with our fire department
I
over the
think
last
it's
12 months.
good to single out
Yeah.
the fire department, because I think that assuming that they don't spend the rest of their budget between now and the end of the year, I mean, it's only another month, right? I mean, I think that's,
I felt it was necessary to
Yeah.
separate them too.
Right.
I did. It just makes it that much more transparent, I think.
and clear to them.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much the only change as far as like the actual wording and like rewording articles. Oh, I lied. I did take out an article that was in there before, and replaced it with Article 8.
To dispose of tax acquired property. First use the sale process, right?
So what I did is I actually went to the town of Milos and
Oh, right.
took their warrant article that they put in
Yeah.
in their warrant this year and used it, because the way it was written before was, to sell any public property, with a tax assessed value of less than 500.
Right.
So that didn't really make sense. And then, also to see if the town will authorize this, and this would be Article 11. The select board on the behalf of the town to sell or dispose of any surplus town-owned personal property on such terms. Before it said, with a value of $500 or less.
Oh, okay.
So I just took a value out, because when it comes to like, technically we dispose of the town truck without
Right.
bringing it to town meeting, so
Right.
if we just eliminate the $500, then that covers.
Okay.
I would make a motion to accept the warrant.
I'll second. Any other discussion? All in favor? So, Marty, do you need us just to sign one?
Yep.
And I worked really hard making sure that I changed every single date on this thing, because last year we missed one of the dates,
Oh,
and it
really?
was 2022 down here on the polling hours. Obviously, everybody got the hint, because everybody showed up, but I was like, how did we miss that for 2 years?
Yeah.
All right, town meeting preparations.
Oh, yes. Which, I just need more time in a day. That's what I need. If you guys can figure out how to make that happen, that would be fantastic. I had a list on my desk last week of all the things that we have to get for town meeting.
Okay, yeah.
And I have since misplaced that list
Oh, no.
because I took it home thinking that I could get some of those things, and then as soon as I took it off my desk, it just disappeared. But since I wrote it down, I have a better memory of what it is. And basically, instead of I don't know how we want to do this. I don't know if we want to break down who does what, or if you guys just want to contribute money and I just do all of
Well, that's a lot on you.
but I would be doing it all at once, essentially,
Yeah.
because,
I mean, like the hamburg and hot dog, if that's what we're going with.
right,
I can probably get them at a discount with Aaron Brothers.
okay,
They're generally pretty good at helping out towns with stuff.
okay, so do you want to be in charge?
I guess so.
Okay. Okay, so we're
So
gonna.
I volunteered myself.
Yeah, you didn't open your mouth, so good job. Okay, so Aaron, hamburgers and hot dogs.
Does that include buns, rolls,
I know, I was just gonna ask that.
No, those are separate.
Okay. Just like specifics.
I can address-
Just the meat part. Okay, so then,
Roughly how much?
Yeah,
well, Cindy said that, Herring Brothers sells like 60 hamburgers in a
Pack.
package,
Yeah, you can get the patties all pre-formed.
Yeah. which I feel like is the best way to go, because I hate making cheeseburger patties, and ultimately it'd be left to me, so get them already pre-made. And so 60 of them. How, I don't know.
Tell you what, I'll buy a number of them. And I'll just pay for whatever's left. Cause I eat a lot of hamburger.
how many people will we estimate?
I don't,
Usually we get like around 40-ish
Should
at a regular town meeting.
double that at least. 120 just to be safe?
that
Yeah.
sounds, and then not everybody wants a hamburger, so that would be good.
Glenn eats a lot of hamburgers.
Yeah.
One question, since that's like the main course. What are we gonna do if there's any vegans?
Vegetarians, you mean?
Yeah,
I was gonna ask that.
Vegetarians?
There'll
Yeah,
be salads and stuff, won't there? Was that what you were planning?
what would please them?
Just
Yeah.
a roll without the
Glenn,
Ketchup,
we
mustard.
need to chat.
Ketchup sandwich.
Do you
That's been done.
Do you have something that you like?
Veggie burgers.
That's
I mean,
what I was
and we're not the only vegetarians in town. so.
Right, no,
Okay, I don't think I can get those from Aaron Brothers.
no, they probably,
I don't
Do you think a
Aaron Brothers
dozen
would
of
know
them
you.
would be enough?
What's that?
Like a dozen? Do you think that would be enough?
Oh, yeah.
is there a kind of, I haven't eaten them in a long time.
Oh,
Oh,
my-
Is it
my son,
Shaw's,
yeah.
every supermarket has.
Yeah.
Right, are there some that you like better than others?
You got any recommendations?
That's what I'm looking for,
Um,
thank you.
I could go look at what we have in the freezer.
There's-
Okay, do that and then let me know.
Bulk of
So
those.
I will get veggie burgers.
Oh, you're gonna get them?
Yep.
My son gets them all the time too, so.
I
And-
Well,
can-
whatever, what, if Cole has a brand he likes,
It's,
Wayne buys different ones all the time,
yeah,
it seems, so.
I seem to think like Boca Burger or.
Boba makes a good one, yeah,
Okay.
whatever's cheapest, I mean.
So I'm just making the list here too, like we'll need the buns for
Buns, yeah.
hot dog, hamburger buns, plates, cups, beverages. I'm thinking cans are probably the easiest.
Yeah.
Sodas and seltzers.
Yeah.
Seltzer
Water.
water. And then bottled water. Right. I don't mind picking that up.
So you want to do beverages?
The beverages and the cups, I can do. And napkins. I can do too.
What about plates?
Plates, yeah, let me do that as well.
I've got my eye on you, you're doing the sides.
I think somebody's already in charge of sides. I can do stuff too.
You wanna do the buns?
I can.
Hot dogs?
Okay.
I also have a membership at Sam's Club, so the
Oh,
paper products are probably
Oh.
way cheaper. Like I
yeah,
can do that.
I'll give you money.
I
wanna do
I can,
God, probably all this stuff would be cheaper there.
I mean.
Just
for-
give them
for
the
those-
list.
Meat would be
Yeah.
better though.
At Heron Brothers.
Yeah,
Yeah, brothers.
No, I'm 100% do the meat there, but then all this other stuff, like, and you can buy a lot in
Right,
a package.
right,
So yeah, if you send me the list and tell me what we need, then I'll pick it
Okay.
up.
so Elena, you'll take care of veggie burgers and,
Mhm. And condiments, I can do that.
oh,
They have those at Sam's Club in kind of bulk as well.
that's true, right? Ketchup and mustard. I'll meet you there and help you shop.
Right, well, maybe we
I
should just
don't
go on a
know,
field trip.
but we could.
Right, what's it?
We can go on a field trip. I'll contribute. Um,
Are there any condiments other than
Ketchup, mustard,
ketchup,
relish.
mayonnaise.
relish?
Mayonnaise?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cheese,
cheese.
Oh, yeah, cheese.
pickles, lettuce, tomatoes.
Sesame
Special
seed.
sauce.
Yeah, cheese.
Gotta have that cheese.
Well,
not
they
cheesy.
have, 3-pound packages of, American cheese that have, I think it's like 70-something slices in the package. And it's Land O'Lakes, which is, that's all I eat for American, but.
Yeah.
They also have a Sam's Club brand as well. So yeah, a couple packages of those maybe would probably be. And they're very reasonably priced,
Mhm.
pre-sliced and everything, but not pre-wrapped. You know, so it's good.
Okay. What else we? And who's doing signs? Again?
Cindy,
Cindy is, okay,
well, I'm gonna help her. but-
okay. Will she be able to make enough, or does she need help?
I mean, I
Like,
think she,
Should probably recruit some.
She loves it.
she likes doing that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Who's that?
Cindy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Brian will help her.
Help her what?
Make the sides,
Signs?
the side dishes for the meal.
Oh, you don't, I know.
Would, somebody write up what you want in the newsletter about this, so there's details, so the townspeople know what to expect?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'll need that.
do we have a time, a kickoff time,
I think that we should do like 4:30.
4:30?
Okay.
And then
Because
what
then it
time is
gives
the
us
town meeting?
6.
6, yeah, that gives time.
Because then it gives time to clean up like that stuff and like, I don't know. Not that it will be a big deal, but if people don't show up if we do it at 5, it's like,
Yeah, that's
It's
calling
cutting it too close.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do you said that we have a barrel grill or something.
Yeah, we can probably do. We can probably do both charcoal and gas. Just because there'll be a lot cooking.
Yeah,
Mhm. So charcoal, is that something else that we need to
Yeah.
put on the list? Okay.
Who's doing charcoal?
Sam's Club probably has
Sam's Club?
giant bags, you can probably fill my truck with charcoal.
They don't sell lighter fluid though, I can tell you that.
They don't.
That's so weird.
Oh.
Unless they do, and I didn't see it, but like, because I did think that was a very weird thing for them to not
I
carry.
feel like I bought it there before and it came in like two giant containers.
Well, that's what I was looking for, that's what I wanted
Oh,
to get
God.
it there. Well, if you find any, let me know, because I'll get some next time I go. Got so much Shaw's last time, but I'll run out sooner or later.
Okay, so. Sue's doing beverages, napkins and plates, you're doing buns, cheese and charcoal, but you
No,
guys
he's
are gonna
getting
work
everything
together.
at
Well,
Sam's Club.
I
I'm gonna
get-
give him money.
Okay,
Do you want me to meet you there? Seriously, I mean, is this?
I don't think
you need
so, cause
help?
I don't know
Okay.
exactly when I'll go and.
also
Okay.
no talking town business because that.
Oh, that's
Select
right.
board meeting.
Who's gonna know about?
In
select board
Bangor?
meeting in Sam's
In
Club?
unauthorized meeting.
Right.
Oh,
Um,
man.
Well, I mean,
I'll give you money
Do
then.
you want me to get drinks as well?
Would it be cheaper there?
I mean, you can get them on, sometimes sales are better.
Yeah,
If
Shaw's
somebody has like
usually has,
Yeah.
a 5 for,
yeah,
or buy 5, get
right.
2.
Shaw's is usually the best place to buy cases of water and soda,
Okay.
in my experience.
Let me do that. I'll do the
Okay.
beverages, the cans, soda, seltzers, bubble water.
Okay, so then Jonathan is doing buns, cheese, charcoal, napkins and plates, yes,
Mm.
Do you need any silverware?
probably.
Probably.
Oh. You know, I have a bunch at home, like a huge bin.
You should check what's up in the gym,
Yeah.
there's a bunch of stuff up
There is a
there.
bunch of stuff.
Well, a lot of that belongs to the alumni. That the alumni paid for.
There may be a little less of it than there once was.
Molly and I donated all that silverware that was in the old school and the plates and all that.
Yeah,
And I think that's what's in the gym now.
Yeah. That's what, I mean, when the fire department did their dinner, they used regular silverware instead of,
yes, all the stuff.
But then you
I think
have
the
to
alumni had
wash
was
it.
downstairs
Yeah.
in the container.
but like,
I have this huge box at home and it's left over from our old ski business that I just never use. And it's, you know, clear forks, knives, spoons. There's a lot in there, so I'll check it out and see.
Yeah.
And if we need more, I mean, I'll cover that. if
Okay.
we need. So I'll get beverages and plasticware, silverware.
okay. And I'll get veggie burgers and condiments. And you are getting hamburgers and hot dogs.
Okay.
Okay, look at that, we're so efficient. And if you guys think of something between now and then, and you're like, oh, we need this, just. say
Just get it.
Salt and pepper? I don't know.
Dessert,
Oh,
you want dessert too, Jesus,
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
just get a big old cookie platter. or something.
okay, yeah,
yeah,
that'll work, I can do that.
okay.
Bunch of spray cans of Cool Whip, that would be.
Oh, that'd be one mess. So as far as our duties then, I mean, I will help out wherever
Yeah,
I'm needed.
yeah,
Who's
I
cooking?
really, yeah, I was gonna say, I really don't want to be the one cooking because it's gonna make it difficult for me to help Marty when that time comes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll take that.
You'll cook?
You'll cook?
Oh.
All right.
Okay, I don't want any pink in my burger. I'll give it back.
I mean.
What's wrong with you? You gotta have a little pink in a burger.
I can do a steak, but not burger.
So I envision, of course, the girls will be outside and are we gonna have all the food outside and then come inside to eat or how
You
is
could also just
Put the sides
put
inside,
the,
sides
put
and?
the food on stuff, carry it in and set it on the table.
platters.
Yeah.
Serve
There's-
inside. in
True,
case the
true, so
weather's
people
bad.
aren't
There's
waiting in
probably
line for
stuff
the.
out
Right.
already up there serving platters.
Yeah, there are,
I would
yeah.
think.
So we'll serve from the
Look.
kitchen area there and,
Yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
And even if like we had the grills out by that side door that's
Right.
over by the kitchen
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
then you
Right.
can just walk through that door.
Perfect.
yeah, I think that's how they do. When you guys cook for the,
Yeah, we cooked in between the school and.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
but of course, there'll always be those few people that want something right off the grill.
Yeah,
yeah, that, yeah.
Well, they're welcome to that. Like,
and we can do it that way if, depending on how many people like it, but
No, but you don't wanna cook 120 burgers and
no.
have them sitting on a platter, cause then
Right.
nobody's gonna eat them if they've been sitting there for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that, I mean, that you could, yeah, I mean, that's all.
okay,
basic
so
stuff.
you're gonna cook and you're gonna assist him cooking, is that what I
Yeah.
heard? Okay,
Or, I mean, I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
But I can,
you're willing to assist in
right,
that
I can
capacity.
run stuff back
Okay.
and forth and.
You'll be a
throw-
burger runner.
Burger runner, That's
Burger runner.
about what I can handle. Yeah.
Are we gonna have like in that area, where the kitchen counter is, a table with tables
That's
with
how-
food? So I can,
I mean, that's how some of the other
Mayonnaise.
events have
Okay.
been set up. I know like for New Year's.
The
when
New
they
Year's
do
Day
stuff,
thing, yeah.
Right.
I
And
can
it
help you
seems to
with
work
that, so if you
Okay.
want.
pretty well.
Okay,
Well, this will be the trial run, so we can always improve on it next year.
I'm excited.
do we need, like an ice bin for the beverages?
oh,
A
probably.
bucket
Probably.
with ice?
Yeah,
I almost think there's some big tubs up there.
In the kitchen?
Didn't we use some? What we
I
did the
brought
other
a
night?
cooler up there, I think it's still there, but I'm not positive.
I was almost thinking there was like plastic tub with handles on it that was up there that we used to, but
Um,
Yeah.
them up.
That
There's
stuff
a
that,
cooler without the cover, the cover is falling off.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still up there or not, maybe.
Probably downstairs if it is.
Yeah, and I have a couple coolers at home I
yeah,
can bring and I can get ice at Irving's and just fill them up. Okay. Got our list.
Sweet, love it.
All right. Oh my gosh, where are we?
go for it, Sue, do it, do it, do it.
There's no miscellaneous, right?
There's no miscellaneous,
What was
just
this one?
executive session.
Executive
I can-
session. All right, I'll make a motion to go,
Do it
into-
maybe now, because that way
Okay.
it comes early in the morning.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thanks for coming out.
Bye.
So I will make a motion to go into executive session for one MRS 4056A personnel matters. One second.
Second.
All in favor? All right, 8:28. All right,
So, all I have to do is make note of what time we come out of the executive session and what time it is.
All right then.
thank you, Marty.
Bye.
Probably better
I'll see you in the morning.
change.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like for $100 or even
Yeah.
500.